Hi, everyone. Welcome to E in the Loop. I am Erica Lupo, your host, and this is our very first episode of E in the Loop. And I'm very excited because my first guest is a fellow Glen Rocker who grew up in Glen Rock like me. He is Sean Noble. Hi, Sean.
Hi, Erica.
He is a children's author and entrepreneur, and we're going to learn all about him because if you look on the table, you can see all his amazing books. And I want to hear your whole story on how you got to this amazing place.
Sounds good.
To begin, if you don't mind, could you share your background, your about yourself, and how you came to be?
Sure. So before I do that, thank you very much for having me on your first episode of E on the Loop.
Oh, my
I'm very
pleasure.
flattered. My name again is Sean Noble. I am a single dad of a wonderful daughter at home. I have my own company. We're involved in the business of reupholstery and wood refinishing. We basically deal with corporate accounts, banks, and law firms and whatnot. And when I'm not running my business or coaching my daughter or tutoring my daughter or running around with my daughter, or if I'm not at the gym or playing pickleball, I am focused on writing children's books. And I've been doing that for almost 3 years now. And to date, I've published 6 books.
That's amazing. And
Yeah.
they're on the table
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And the latest one you have is Zazu the Ladybug.
So it's
Zuzu.
Zhu the Ladybug. It's okay. It's all good.
Zuzu.
Zhu, yeah.
We're going to talk about that.
Absolutely.
So you grew up in Glen Rock.
I grew up in Glen Rock and I had a wonderful childhood experience there. I grew up in a very loving and supportive home.
Me too.
So I did what most kids in that era did. I played rec baseball. I played rec soccer. I rode my bike throughout town. I grew up through the school system. I played football at Glen Rock High School. I ran track. When I was younger, I had multiple jobs. I swept hair at the barbershop in town in 5th grade. That was my first job. I had a paper route. I used to deliver the Ridgewood News. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
That was a newspaper on Thursday and Sunday.
Yep.
I shoveled snow to make
Mhm.
extra money, and I cut lawns.
You did.
Yeah. But a big, happy part of my life, which is still influential today, was reading comic books
Mm-hmm.
back in Glen Rock. And I can remember very vividly, getting on my bicycle whenever I could, riding into town, parking my bike outside the Glen Rock Sweet Shop, which is still
Yes.
there today,
It is still there.
right? And I would take the one step up into the store. And in the back of the store, he had a very tall, towering spinning rack of comics, and I would buy 2 or 3 comics at a time. And then race back with my bicycle and go home and race up to my bedroom and just get immersed in the comic books.
That's so great.
Yeah.
So you were reading comic books as a child.
I didn't find comic books. Comic books kind of found me. And what I mean was, I wasn't really aware of the superhero kind of thing when I was younger, except when I was in the backyard one day of my grandmother's house, who lived in Hackensack. My uncle Jim approached me and handed me issue 65 of The Amazing Spider-Man, which I still have today. And I took it home and read it. And I was blown away. I had never seen anything like it before. It made such an impression on me. And from there, I was hooked.
Is there any particular character other than Spider-Man or a storyline that you remember?
So during the period that I read comic books from like 5th grade to 12th grade, of course, Spider-Man holds a special place in my heart because Spider-Man introduced me to the Marvel
Are
universe.
any of your characters similar to Spider-Man?
No, unfortunately, I wish they were. That would be great. would
You
be-
may need one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, but during that period, I think the artists and the writers of the books made more an impression on me than the characters. Like there was an artist during the run on Spider-Man when I was little, Ross Andrew, who incorporated iconic New York City landmarks into the Spider-Man book. For instance, he would take the time to go into the field and photograph, like, say, the Madison Square Garden, and then draw those buildings into the book. So as a child, you'd be reading this book and you would think, oh, it's actually possible for Spider-Man to be on top of Madison Square Garden.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And then there was other characters or writers such as Daredevil, who I related to because he's Irish Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
and he was a blind attorney safeguarding Hell's Kitchen. But he was drawn by Frank Miller, who revolutionized the way comic books were drawn and written. So it was the characters and the writers and the illustrators that made a big impression on me.
That's great.
Yeah.
And do you feel that that has kind of helped you in your creative path with your books?
Yeah, I enjoy writing the books, but I also have a real interest in the way that the book is drawn. I want I want full colors. I want a lot of action to be going on each and every page. I want the reader, the child, the parents to be captivated or immersed in the book, and that's what comic books are also.
Right.
So
So do you do your own illustrations?
no,
Okay.
that's a great question. I just write the books, and I have two illustrators that I work with that are wonderful people that tolerate me. That's another story. Like when you write a children's book, you're really supposed to write the book and then hand it off to the illustrator
And let them do it.
and let them do it.
It's very hard.
And they complain about me. They love me and I love them, but I will put in my 2 cents all the time.
Right,
I'd
yeah.
say, look, here is this character. This is what I'm trying to portray on the page, but I want the character like this or that or like this. And sometimes they get annoyed and they will tell me you have to step back a little bit.
I guess you go back and forth a little bit.
We go back and forth on the creative collaboration of the illustrations, and there in the beginning I was very stubborn because I have this comic book background and I want to know I want the page, but then they would come back with something else, and I would say I have to keep an open mind
That's
here
great.
with that,
Yeah.
because actually that's a better idea than what I proposed. And since then, that took me about 2 books to get used to that. And now I'm like, no problem. You're right. That's a better image. That's a better angle. Let's do that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you read to your daughter when she was little.
So my eldest daughter and I, when we were little, we had this special little daddy-daughter day on Saturday where we would wake up on Saturday morning and go into town to the bagel store, and I would get a fried egg with bacon with ketchup on a scooped whole wheat everything, and she'd get a rainbow bagel scooped with light cream cheese, and we would have them, and then we'd go to the county park or the Glen Rock or Ridgewood, and then we would circle back to the library, and we would get a week's worth of or 2 weeks worth of children's books. And what was happening, unbeknownst to me, is I had this comic book background, when I was little, but all these books kept coming through the house, and I was getting exposed to different types of children's books.
Mm-hmm.
And I started what I would call like having a quiet appreciation for the format. I would read the book and wonder why the illustrator drew a page in a certain way, or why the writer decided to write this character a certain way. So yeah,
When did the idea of your first children's book take shape?
we were reading all these books all the time, and my daughter just said to me, "Daddy, can you just tell me a story?" So she was losing her teeth at the time, so I very quickly made up a story about a tooth fairy, about her first tooth trip,
Oh,
and told her that story, and she was like, "Wow!" And then the second night, she asked me to tell her the story again, and then the third night, and then
same story?
same story.
Oh,
And this went on for about a week and a half. And then by the end of the week and a half, I had like this story with a main character that had character development, that had supporting characters. And I thought to myself, maybe this is a book.
yeah.
So yeah.
How long ago was that?
So it's a long, super long story, but that was with my first daughter probably 20 years ago. And I wrote the book. I wrote the story down on a loose leaf piece of paper, put it in a manila file, and then put it in a filing cabinet, and then forgot about it. For
That story.
yeah, that particular story. And then fast forward 18 years later, I became a single dad with custody of my second daughter, and we started the same routine. And then I said to myself, is that Tool story still in my filing cabinet? And I looked in the filing cabinet, and it was still there.
Wow.
And that's when I started thinking, maybe I should try and do this,
Yeah.
publish this book. And yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, it was
Well,
still there, still there.
that's what started. And you were telling your second daughter the same story.
Yeah, sure. I would say, this is what I told Kimberly when she was little, and she'd be like, "Oh, tell me."
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, and then yeah, then I went for it, and that's that's a long story too.
Well, walk us through the process, if you
Sure,
could, of publishing your first book plus navigating being a single dad.
sure. So, one of the luxuries about being a single parent for me is that I'm self-employed. So I worked on the book when I was working, or I would be on the train, and the thing about me is, and that first book, I didn't know anything about self-publishing. I didn't. Self-publishing, is that like when you have a computer at home on your desk, and then you print the book yourself? I didn't know any of that.
Right.
The illustrations, who I didn't know who. Like I would hire an illustrator. Okay, who puts the words on the page? Is that me or is that someone else? I didn't know anything.
It's a process.
I couldn't ask a friend. No one was no one was in that field. I couldn't call in a favor. Nobody knew anything. So I had this gigantic mountain to climb, right, to
Yeah.
do this book. And I just committed to doing it. And I got through it. And even when I hired the illustrator, I was like, what do I pay her per page? Is there a contract per hour? But I got lucky on my first try with my first illustrator, and we had a great working relationship on the first one. And since then, we've collaborated on 5 different books.
Oh, that's great. So she does work with you again.
She did work. Oh, yeah. She's one. One of the things about her in the beginning was that I went online and I tried to find someone somewhere, and I found her on some website, and she got back to me quickly, promptly,
That's great.
was very polite. Other artists would take their time, and I don't know, I'll get back, and it was like annoying.
Yeah.
And she was. I liked the way that she drew because I had the vision of how I wanted the books to look. I didn't want someone that drew the X-Men with muscles and sharp lines and gritty teeth.
Yeah.
I liked what she was doing, and she said, full disclosure, I've never done a book before.
Wow.
So I said, you know what? Me neither. So let's try it. And we did.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Was there any time you questioned if it was going to happen?
The book?
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
You did.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. This is too much. I have to deal with my job. I have to coach my kid. I have to deal with play dates. I have to pick her up from school. Yeah. It was like, but you just have to put the blinders on. And if you don't get it done, it won't get done. And the hardest thing is taking that first step, because once you take the first step, and you're committed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to leave a legacy to my kids.
How long did it take you to get your first book published after you decided to do this?
After I got all the illustrations done with my illustrator, she sent me the files, and then you have to upload it onto your self-publishing platform.
Right.
And I determined that KDP would be the best for me at the time. And I had to hire my friend who was already doing my websites to help me with that. And that was a lot. Even he had never done a book. So there was a lot of that back and forth.
Right.
KDP has to approve the margins and the bleeds and the size of the file. It's not lining up. It's you want to tear your hair out.
I know.
It's crazy cray.
Uh-huh.
So that took a while. And then finally they approve it, right? And you're like, oh my God. And you hit the live button. Boom. And then boom, it's on Amazon.
Oh, it's exciting.
So that took about, from the illustrator to making it live, that probably took 4 months. Now it probably takes 2 months because I've done it multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's still not long, 4 months or 2 months. 4 months, I know that.
Well, it's a lot of going back and forth
Yeah.
and changing the bleeds and the margins, not approved. This is why.
And you did that yourself? You didn't hire someone?
No, I did hire someone. I hired the person that does all my websites.
So did they not, were they able to get that through?
He had never done a book either. But
Oh,
because
okay.
we had such a good relationship, he said, I'll do this for
Oh,
you.
that's great.
And otherwise I never would have been able to do it.
Right.
It's really challenging.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's better if your viewers are listening and they have a book in mind to outsource that, to get
Yes,
that to a close friend or someone.
As I spoke to you about, I have a book that I'm struggling with too because of that.
Yeah,
So I have to get it to that point, and I think outsourcing is probably the best way to do something like that because it
totally.
is so difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
How did it feel when you held your first book in your
Oh,
hand?
it's like I get goosebumps now just thinking about it. It's an extremely satisfying feeling when you get it in the mail and you rush down to the mailbox and you tear open the cardboard envelope from Amazon, and then you have something palpable in your hands that you struggled with for years, and it's a great feeling. I know exactly where I was standing when I opened it up in
Oh, I
my
can
backyard.
imagine.
Yeah, it's great, and then it opens up the door to endless possibilities for other books.
And that's where you got your motivation to continue.
After the first book was live and published, the reaction was positive, and I was doing a book fair with just one book on my table, very modest and humble. And several kids came up to me and said, "Is there a coloring book?" And I said, yes, there is. Yes, there is. And I went home that weekend and I wrote a coloring book because you have to have a theme in there and you have to have
Yeah.
words, whatnot. And that I published that book as well within, I think, 3 months or so. And that coloring book did very well too.
That's great. Which
Yeah.
is where it
So
is.
you have a coloring book there next to you. It's underneath.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sheila's coloring book.
So one of the cool things about that is that if you open that book up backwards from behind, this is all one continuous illustration.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, isn't that super cute?
Oh, so that's okay. So
It bleeds into the back
Oh,
page.
I love that.
Yeah.
Following the success of your first book,
Yeah.
you came out with a lot of other books.
I did.
And I kind of want to know what was your inspiration behind them.
We could go work with Zhu Zhu the Ladybug, which is behind me.
Yes.
So
cute because you have a little friend.
I do. Say hi, Juju. Hello.
Hi, Juju.
Hello. Juju was a minor character in 2 of the 3 previous Tooth Fairy books. I didn't expect to write a story about her at all, except I have a very modest garden in my backyard, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I was on YouTube looking for ways to maintain the garden in a organic, clean way without using pesticides. And one video brought up a video about ladybugs and how you can use ladybugs in your garden as to control invasive bugs, insects like aphids. Because they're predators. I didn't know that. I just thought they were cute little bugs with black and white spots.
So did I.
Yeah. So if you sprinkle them in your garden, right, they will attack invasive bugs. And they went on to say that Mother Nature gave the ladybug its black spots as a self-defense mechanism. So if there's a praying mantis in the garden or something, or the bird or the praying mantis won't eat the ladybug because the black spots indicate bad taste.
Oh.
So I'm thinking, this is interesting. I already have this character, Zhu Zhu the Ladybug. What if I gave her the job of patrolling a garden?
Oh, it's cute.
And what would happen if she lost her spots? What's going to happen? Right?
Right.
So
Oh, that's
I had this bolt of inspiration that just flooded inside of me. I dropped what I was doing. I wrote a rough draft like that day, and I wrote the book within a month on my phone, and then sent it to the illustrator. And I said, let's do this. And we wrote this cute book, and on top of it, a special guest appearance by Tula the Tooth Fairy, which is kind of inspired by my comic book background, because Marvel would often have their superheroes make guest appearances into
great.
other books. And I thought that was a super cute idea.
That's a great idea.
So that's what I did.
This is the most recent.
That's the most recent. You could call it a spin-off of sorts.
Yeah,
off the Tula
almost like
universe.
a series.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
And you have talented moms and talented dads.
So I thought that after I did my first Tula books, I was feeling very confident and creative in writing and making these books, but I wanted to break from the Tula universe.
Right.
I wanted to do something more challenging, and I thought it was appropriate of me to write a book about dads, because I'm a dad.
Right.
And dads are dads are talented and dads are awesome.
Yeah.
So I drew inspiration from my own experience with my children and the way that I was brought up and the way that I see my brother and my sister raise their kids
It's
or
great.
my friends. And I wrote a book called Talented Dads. And real quickly, when I first was interested in writing a book about dads, I would go to the library or the bookstore and do research. And the dads books that I saw there, I thought were catered more towards young children. My daddy can pick me up. My daddy is big. And I thought there was something more relatable for a little bit older kids
Mm-hmm.
that they could relate to. And that's what I did.
That's so great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
Honoring dads and moms.
Well, yeah. Well, it's funny because I didn't intend on writing a book about moms. I got complaints or suggestions to write because the mothers got
Sure.
jealous. Dads would stop me on the street and say, "Yo, my wife loves that dad's book. When are you going to write a book about moms?" So again, I didn't intend to write that book either, but I felt it was appropriate since I wrote a dad, I'd have to write a mom.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
thank
good. What would you consider your writing style to be?
I don't know if I have a writing style per se, but I think I have. I write when I'm inspired. So I don't. Since I've started this career of writing children's books, I don't write for the sake of writing. I don't go to my kitchen table and open the laptop and
Yes.
start typing. It was a dark and stormy night. I have to write a book. When I get an inspiration to write a book, when the inspiration hits me and I can feel the goosebumps in my body, I have to get it from my brain onto the page right away. And that's the only time I write.
That's
I'm
great.
sorry, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, but I think that's a great way because I think people force themselves to sit down and do exactly what you said, and it doesn't come out.
It doesn't work, and
No.
I don't think that's honest or sincere.
Right.
I'm writing stories that I think will hold the attention of my readers, the kids,
Absolutely.
the parents.
And you have a great audience. You started it with your daughters. They're a great audience, so you knew that that
it would work.
It would work.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part of the creative process?
It's the creative collaboration that I have with my artists. That's the part when the book starts to become alive. That's when the book starts to blossom, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time that I ever get to meet my characters. I've never met them before.
Right.
And this is the first time I see them. And this is the first, then we go through this journey together. As the illustrator sends me the drawings, I'm going through this story with them. And it's an extremely satisfying moment and also creative.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun.
What's the most challenging?
The most challenging part of being an author is, you want the book to sell. So, but I don't stress it too much,
Right.
because you can get lost in that. And I don't want to get lost in that because I do want to sell some, and I have. I'm very happy with what I've sold, but it is a labor of love too,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
The writing is very therapeutic, and I get a lot out of it, and I enjoy the creative process. The other challenge is when I launch a book, I want the launch of each book to be different from the other one.
Right.
Instead of just saying out an email blast, "This is my new book."
Right.
You want to kind of have a spin on each launch.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Are you working on something now?
So I am. Thank you for asking. So I have a book that is about the spring migration of the ruby-throated hummingbird.
Oh.
And it also chronicles a story about a fifth grade girl that's anxiously waiting for their arrival. And it kind of happens at the same time. The ruby hummingbird leaves South America, travels over the Gulf of Mexico, lands into the southern part of the United States, while this fifth grade girl who has a passion for hummingbirds is tracking the migration at home.
Oh, that's a learning book at the same time.
Yeah, I actually had to do some research on hummingbirds. I had to learn about.
Yeah.
And I put that in the book also. And that book we're halfway done with the illustrations right now. And that particular book, it will be ready probably at the end of next month, but I'm going to sit on it and wait for the spring.
Perfect.
To launch it in the spring. And I might incorporate maybe some wildlife enthusiasts or something with it. I don't know. So I have to think about that.
Any new themes coming into this book other than it sounds like a learning book at the same time as entertaining.
Well, each book I want to be different from the last one. I
Right.
just don't want to churn them out and they're all the same. They have to be different. And this is a different type of story than my other books. There's 2 stories in one.
Right.
So there's that. It's kind of a factual thing you learn about hummingbirds
Yeah, I
along the
love that.
way.
Yeah.
And all these books that are on the table here, they're published in a vertical format. This book will be published in a landscape kind of
Oh,
format.
that's great.
So that's kind of
different.
it's challenging.
Will
yeah.
Juju or Tula make an appearance in this one?
No, this is a nonfiction kind of attempt here. This is not science fiction.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So
Oh,
this is it's different.
It's
Yeah,
a total different
totally.
genre.
And then I have another book that I'm writing right now that's I'm working on now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is there any advice you would give to aspiring authors or single parents even that are thinking about publishing or starting their career in writing?
I guess it would apply for if you're a writer or if you're a painter or if you're a sculptor or if you're an artist in any form. You would want to not wait to be discovered. You would want to get it out to the public as soon as possible. And that way, or then things happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? I remember being at a book fair in the beginning or an arts and crafts festival with one book. No one knew who I was, right? And now I kept churning out books because I knew eventually if you put out quality art or product, they can't ignore you and they'll recognize you. And,
Sure.
humble brag here a little bit. I was on the cover of Glen Rock Living magazine last month. They saw that I
That's
was,
great.
you know,
Congratulations on that.
yeah. So that was kind of fun. And now I'm on this wonderful podcast with you.
Thank you.
And things are happening.
They are
Yeah.
happening. And you're incredibly inspiring. I don't know if you realize that, but your story and also all your stories are very inspiring. And I think that hearing you is just, I think hopefully it'll motivate somebody else to,
For the listeners out there, if you're a single parent,
yeah,
you're doing a great job. Don't stop. Your kids love you. They may not say it to you as often as you want to, but they love you and they will never forget the effort that you've put in for them.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Where can we get your books?
I have a wonderful website called SeanNobleBooks.com,
Okay.
and you can see images of me throughout my journey since 2023 at arts and crafts festivals and book fairs. You can see me donating my books to libraries and whatnot. And you can also purchase the book there on that website, or you can find me on Facebook.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Sure.
Under your name.
Under my name.
So, Sean's books will be on display throughout our podcasts for these next few months. So you'll be able to also get in touch with us if they can't get in touch with you
Yeah.
to get through to the books.
Sure.
And then I want to thank you so much for being
thank
an
you.
amazing guest and
This is
being our
fantastic.
first guest on E in the Loop. I hope you'll come back.
Yeah, sure.
And we look forward to having you again. And good luck with your new book and all your books.
Oh, thank you,
you
Erica.
again.
Thank you so much.